when I was a student at Franciscan University, a friend introduced me to Chesterton. I think I had been introduced before, but once I really started getting into him and I moved back, I decided Western New York needs more Chesterton because everywhere needs more Chesterton. So
Facts.
well,
let's start. Who is he?
Right. So G.K. Chesterton, he died in 1936, and he was a British. I don't even know how. There's no way to really fit him in a box. He was a writer. He was he was a journalist. Is like his primary title. But he wrote novels and books and fiction and mystery. He wrote a few plays even at the prodding of George Bernard Shaw, who was a friend of his. And he just wrote on every topic in the church every topic, including in the church. So he was an apologist. He wrote some really deep spiritual stuff. Not that he would have you wouldn't like label it like a spiritual or something, but it's just woven in through his stuff. And he
was a convert, right?
Yeah. He has an interesting story with that too. So he was raised in a Unitarian Universalist family. So he's a very like human values and, be a good person kind of upbringing. And he has a lot of great things to say about his parents. And they did form him in a way that was really conducive to what he then took on in his more explicitly Christian life. But he sort of, as a teenager, young adult, he started slipping into some more agnostic, atheist, and even a little bit of solipsism, which for those who might not know, solipsism is where you believe that you are the only thing in existence, or like your mind is the only thing that exists and everything else is a projection of your mind. So
that's where the movie The Matrix actually came from.
Right.
The primary heresy behind The Matrix is solipsism.
Mm-hmm. So he was slipping into that a little bit, and then he... At one point...
Took the red pill.
Right. Well, actually, in a way, I guess. So the one story in his autobiography that he says was one of the turning points for him was that he had a friend who was just full on going into sort of the demonic occult and just straight up worshiping evil for its own sake kind of a thing. And
sometimes apathy can do that.
Yeah, but he recounts a story where he's hanging out with this guy, and the guy's basically saying, well, what if I say what's evil is good? And like, who's to tell me I'm wrong? And that was just like a snapping point for him. He's like, no, this isn't right. And he remembers that as being, he could have gone down that road, and he chose, he said he held on to one thin thread of thanks, that like to repay at first just, the fact that I exist is a great thing. I didn't give myself existence. And even before you get to the point where you're recognizing God as the source of that, just to be like thankful for the fact that I have existence, and like it is better to exist than to not exist. Right. So whatever else happens in between that, things are here, and that's a great thing. And so that was what began him down his road, which then around turn of the 20th century, he met Frances Blogg, who would become Mrs. Chesterton. And she is who he says brought him to Christianity. So
is she the founders of blogging?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's actually two G's, Bloggg.
So she's the original double G.
All right.
BLO double G. Anyways.
I haven't had that much coffee yet to deal with.
Keep going. Hear ye.
All right, so I'll try to keep it short because I'll just bunny trail. Just like Chesterton. If anyone's ever read Chesterton, he's a really if it could be frustrating to read Chesterton because he'll be on a topic or it'll be the title of the chapter, and then you'll be like, he didn't get to anything about what the title of this chapter was and it's brilliant whatever he talked about, but you're like, I came here for this, but I got something else. And he did that to his audiences too. I wish we don't have any recordings that I know of his actual talks that were because he
has speeches
right
that are on the YouTube, and he's actually a very slow talker
right
in the speech. I mean, very gripping. That surprised me. But
yeah, that's the one. It's The Spice of Life, I think, is the one. It's about 15 minutes of a snippet of one of his BBC broadcasts.
The one that I captured was him giving like a keynote talk at an event.
Oh, he gave there was some award given to, I think it was Rudyard Kipling, for a Canadian Literary Society, I think.
Yes. Yeah, it was in Canada.
And when he's talking, you're like, he's not saying anything about Rudyard Kipling. Nothing about this is about Rudyard.
I just really thank you all so much for having me here. No, it's truly an honor.
I think it was connected somehow. Like, it was an idea that had something to do with Rudyard Kipling, but he went beyond. He was like not doing, and that's how he wrote tons of biographies too, and that's how the biographies were. It's just Chesterton's thoughts on the concepts that surround this person, but you get this much. For those just listening, my fingers are really close together. This much biographical information about the person.